Zewditu, Empress Zewditu. Now, when there is an empire, a male ruler is called emperor. A female ruler is empress. So, she is Empress Zewditu. Empress Zewditu was born on the 29th day of April in 1876 in the 19th century. And she was born in Ethiopia. She was born in Ethiopia on the 29th day of April in 1876. And she was born in an area known as Wollo. W-O-L-L-O, Wollo. In the Ethiopian Empire at that time. My brother, my sister, I'm about to tell you an interesting story. A story that is going to blow your mind. In fact, she lived for 54 years. Now, my brother, my sister, Empress Zewditu was born on the 29th day of April in 1876 in the Ethiopian Empire. In fact, in a little town known as Wollo. And she was baptized in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. So many people confuse it with the Roman Catholic Church because they have similar ways of worship. Now, the Ethiopian Orthodox Bible has more books than any other Bible in the world. My brother, my sister, she was born in the Ethiopian Empire, and of course in a small town known as Wollo. At birth, she was baptized in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, and she was given a Christian name, and the Christian name was Askala Mariam. Askala Mariam, and it is spelled A-S-K-A-L-A. That's for Askala. Mariam is M-A-R-Y-A-M. Now, Askala Mariam simply means the flower of Mary. The flower of Mary. The flower of Mary, the mother of God. In fact, Ethiopia itself, Addis Ababa simply means the pretty flower. Ethiopia is a land that loves flowers, and a lot of their names represent one flower or the other. She was called Askala Mariam. And see what happened. She was born into the royal family. Her father was king. In fact, her father was Negos. In Ethiopia, king is Negos. N-E-G-U-S. Remember when Prophet Muhammad ran away all the way from Medina and Mecca because he was being chased? He sent his followers to the Negos at that time in Abyssinia, today's Ethiopia. Her father was the Negos, or the king, or Menelik of Shiwa. And of course, he later became the emperor, Menelik II. In fact, she was a very powerful woman growing up. She was so religious, loved religion. She would go to church and pray, and she kept herself chaste, not making any man touch her until marriage time. Everybody knew her in the area. So humble. Even though she was from the royal family, she never flaunted any wealth, and she was so down to earth. Most of the time she'll be found in the church, praying, down on her knees, fasting and waiting, oh my God, for her turn to become king. Remember, I used the word king. Now, my brother, my sister, it went on and on and on. In 1886, our heroine was only 10 years old when she was married to Ras Araya Selassie Johannes. You want to hear that again? She was married at the age of 10 years old. In those days, the ladies grew so fast. By the age of 6, they were already growing breasts. By 7, hips were already enlarging. By 8, they were already menstruating. And by 9, they were ready to be plucked. And by 10, they were ready to shock every man in the bedroom. She was married at the age of 10 to Ras Araya Selassie Johannes, and Ras simply means the head or the leader. My brother, my sister, Ras Araya Selassie Johannes. And he was the son and heir of Emperor Johannes the Fourth. So you see, she was born into the royal home and she got married into another royal home. So she was a double royal. My brother, my sister, so powerful from the age of 10. That was the first time a man touched her. Oh gosh, she was so respected. She spoke less and she did more. She was always found with a copy of the Bible, reading and praying, most of the time fasting. There were many people who said they never saw her eat anything. All the time that she was queen, or all the time that they knew her. She was married at the age of 10. Now the marriage was political, having been arranged when Menelik agreed to submit to Johannes' rule. Johannes and Menelik eventually fell into some conflict yet another time. However, with Menelik launching a rebellion against Johannes' rule, Zewditu's marriage was childless, since she was very young during her marriage, although her husband had fathered a son by another woman. My brother, my sister, this marriage was childless. She was so young, she was not able to make babies as early as she should have, because women in Ethiopia were so fertile. In fact, some even had babies at the age of 8 at the time. When Araya Selassie died in 1888, she left Makele and returned to her father's court in Shiwa. Their marriage was consummated in another town known as Makele. And when her husband died in 1888, remember they were married in 1886. So 2 years later, the marriage broke down because the husband died. But before the husband died, he had already fathered a child. So this marriage remained childless. She returned to her father's court in Shiwa. Now, despite the hostility between Menelik and Johannes, our younger Zewditu managed to be in between and be the peacemaker. Oh my God. Now, it was very political. Now, listen to what happened. Now, Johannes the Fourth himself died at the Battle of Matema. Now, the Battle of Matema was a terrible battle that happened, my brother, my sister. And when the general himself went to war, he did not return. And Johannes the Fourth was actually the father of the husband of Zewditu, who died in 1888. Follow, students. Follow the story. Now, after he died, there had to be somebody to ascend to the throne. They needed a new emperor of Ethiopia who was more qualified. It was only the woman, Zewditu, who was a double royal and was ready to ascend to the throne. My brother, my sister, she was the daughter of Menelik II and the wife of Johannes' son, who should have become king at the death of Johannes IV. So she was still in there intact, and the onus fell on her to become the king of Ethiopia. Menelik himself died in 1913, and Lich Iyasu, the son of Menelik's half-sister Shiwa Rega, who had been publicly declared her apparent heir in 1909, took the throne. Iyasu considered Zewditu a potential threat to his rule and exiled her and her new husband to the countryside. My brother, my sister, a very long story cut short. Now the whole onus laid now and fell on our heroine for today, Empress Zewditu, and she became the Empress of Ethiopia. On the 27th day of September in 1916, only 3 years after Lich Iyasu became king of Ethiopia, or the emperor of Ethiopia, she took over the throne. And then when she took over the throne, the whole of Ethiopia changed. How did it change? all the wars stopped. She was not ready to be involved in any conflict. She always talked about the Bible. And if there was a problem, she will draw inferences from the Bible and they will seek solutions from the Bible. In fact, they put aside all the laws of Ethiopia. And if anything happened and they needed any solution, it was the Bible they referred to. She was so religious and spiritual at the same time. She went to church. She fasted most of the time. She became empress on the 27th day of September in 1916. But look at what happened now. Oh, she had 2 further marriages, both of them very brief, before she finally married Rasta Guksa Weli. Now, Guksa Weli was the nephew of the Empress Zewditu, Zewditu's stepmother. Zewditu had already been on good terms with Zewditu, but the direct tie between the two helped cement the relationship. Unlike their prior marriages, Zewditu's marriage to Guksa Weli was thought to have been happy. My brother, my sister, this wonderful woman continued to move on. She became the Empress of Ethiopia. She brought the Bible in. She was very, very powerful. All the wars stopped. All conflicts were resolved. Oh my God. And everybody came to like her. She had a cousin by name Rastafari Makonnen, and that is the name of Haile Selassie the first, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. When she ascended to the throne, she nursed Haile Selassie and told Haile Selassie that he will be king after her. Oh my God. And see what happened. She was able to continue being in power. She stopped slavery in Ethiopia, ordered that slavery must stop, and slavery stopped. She found a way of making Haile Selassie a sub king. Somewhere in Ghana will say a sub chief. Even though people fought Rastafari Makonnen, he continued to be there and be supported. Today, we are talking about Empress Zewditu, the very first woman to become king in an internationally recognized country in Africa. You want to hear it again? The very first woman to rule a country that was internationally recognized as a country. Right here in Africa. My brother, my sister, Iyasu was sent away and she took over the throne. She ruled Ethiopia with wisdom. She ruled Ethiopia with power. She ruled Ethiopia with energy. She ruled Ethiopia with love above all. On the 2nd day of April 1930, 2 days after Ras Guksa Weli was killed in battle. In fact, it was a terrible battle. The Battle of Anchim. And this Battle of Anchim was a battle that was a chieftaincy battle. In fact, the Battle of Anchim, my brother, my sister, had her husband killed. The Battle of Anchim was a battle fought between 2 factions of the royal family in the Ethiopian Empire, as you were told. Now, the battle was fought to determine who would rule the empire after Empress Zewditu. Her husband went out there to fight and he was killed. She was so sad. She had been married 3 times. This is the only marriage that made her happy. In fact, when her husband died, she broke down. She cried for 2 days and died after the 2nd day. She couldn't live without her husband. She had become so used to this wonderful man. She loved him. In fact, and she didn't see herself living without this man. In fact, she died on the 2nd day of April, just 2 days after her husband Ras Guksa died. Remember, her husband Ras died in the Battle of Anchem on the 31st day of March 1930. And when she died, right now the battle was still ongoing. The person that she chose to become king after her, Haile Selassie, oh my God, was crowned king after several months of war on the 2nd day of November in 1930. And Rasta people celebrate it around the world as the coronation day. Today we remember this great black woman. Today we honor this great black woman. We love this great black woman, and we want to say thank you so much for abolishing slavery in Ethiopia. We thank you so much for directing the people to God. We thank you so much for being humble. We thank you so much for putting down all in order to bring Ethiopia together. Mami, let me refer to you. Mami unenyaminko. Mami unenyaminko. Oh, unenyaminko. Unenyaminko. Empress Zewditu. Empress Zewditu. Empress Zewditu. Empress Zewditu. Askala Mariam. Askala Mariam. She died on the 2nd day of April in 1930 at the age of 53 and a half. May her body, mind, and soul rest in perfect peace as we remember her today. May her body, mind, and soul rest in perfect peace as we remember her today. May her body, mind, and soul rest in perfect peace. In the burden of knowledge, I ask you, now that you know what to do, be an any ole mini obafe yazunda kagane mezaka yini ye pabango bokaya nangfifia ye nyanu kaina wabana enwe beden lele anjima singa be kunne lele anjima singa beri. Now that you know the story of Empress Zewditu as Kala Mariam, how would this story impact your own life? It's been the African History class, and my name, Blakk Rasta.
To glory, to glory.